how many Republicans are defecting from the Republican ticket and voting for Harris. I think that Iowa poll is spot on.
I do too. First of all, Ann Selzer, who did it, is the gold standard. It's hilarious. I was watching some right-wing chump from Fox News searching for a poll that she screwed up, and he pulled it out from 2004, and I just burst out laughing. I'm like, so you're a real winner, aren't you? You had to go back 20 years, and you think you're winning to find one that she got wrong. And the funny thing is, she got it wrong by 5 points. And here's the thing. If she even were wrong by 5 points, and Trump were up 2 in Iowa, he's getting killed in this election, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he won Iowa by 9 points last time. We're 1 point to the left. And I told you this on this show, Matt. I don't know if I've talked to Bill since then, but the only reason why we're not ahead here too is about 3 months ago, maybe because of Sherrod Brown, the Senate race here, or J.D. Vance is on the ticket, they polled and they freaked out. And I heard that from Republicans I knew, that they saw they were behind. So they started massively advertising here. And the last poll that just came out here still only has them up 3 points. And they have no ground game here because all they got is Elon Musk hiring people and taking them in dangerous vans places and firing them. And I mean, so when you add, I don't want to talk too much, flow back to Bill, but my main point is we're going to beat them and beat them very handily because I think Iowa is right. I think the Kansas poll that had us only down 5 is right. I think the poll here that has us only down 3, and that's because they've advertised nonstop for 3 months, and we only responded with maybe 20% of the ads, is right. And if that's all right, then imagine what Texas is. Imagine what North Carolina is. Imagine what Florida is, 1 million Puerto Ricans. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think being called an island of garbage worked really well in winning the Puerto Rican vote. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about stuff before, but I don't. So I honestly think this is going to be kind of kicking a word that I can't say because you're regulated by the FCC.
Well, Bill, you know comedy. Would you ever go into a town and let me tell you about a crap hole time? Because it's not just that. We should remember he was in Detroit and he badmouthed Detroit. Michigan, Detroit right now is overwhelming the early vote right now. Bill, as a comedian, how much comic value do you get by looking at your audience and saying, hey, you idiots?
It's a questionable strategy. Let me put it that way. But if you are going to do it at all, you have to have a level of skill that none of these bozos have. Like, quite aside from everything else, that guy is a terrible comedian with terrible timing and, just dumb MAGA jokes. They're never very funny. But I also would add that, like, this, just from a political standpoint, they think that going into a state and just trashing the biggest city is going to win it to them. That's not where the population is. Like, you can only win over so many exurbs, and it doesn't really amount to anything in Minnesota, as you know, Matt. It's like they had them convince themselves that if you get like this a little patch of red near the north of the state, you're going to just kill it. But no, like, the people are in the cities and increasingly the suburbs, and there's only so many car dealership guys in the exurbs who can pull your nuts out of the fire after that.
As International Falls goes,
Yeah.
no, I'm not really.
And can I say something? I mean, I'm by far no Bill Corbett because I made a questionable decision when I got out of grad school, when I seriously said to myself, I either can move out to Los Angeles and become a comedy writer, which I was thinking of seriously doing, or I can move to DC and become a political writer. And did I make the wrong choice?
Oh, I don't know. But another time.
Maybe they both would have beaten me down to where I am right now, hiding in the Midwest in Cincinnati, and very happy, by the way. But I do know enough about jokes to know that there has to be an actual setup to a joke based on a sort of a common understanding that people have. And the punchline has to be sort of an exaggerated version of the truth. You can make racist jokes, and I don't, but you can make racist jokes that are at least stereotypical jokes that are funny. I personally think they're wrong, but okay, you can do that. But taking a random place and attaching it to a random horrible thing and thinking that's funny, like, ha, 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 you're from Minnesota. That smells like urine. And everybody's just like, what's the punchline? What's the connection? I don't get it. Like, there was nothing. It was just a racist insult. That's all it was. hiding behind, I'm a comedian. And, thank you to him for that, because nothing else was breaking through our crappy both sides media that refuses to tell people the truth. Well, Ricky Martin's 19 million Instagram followers and Bad Bunny's 45 million Instagram followers and J-Lo's 250 million and Mark Anthony's 13 million, and I could go on and on. They broke through. And that was, yes.
And I'll also say that the cherry on top is that it was some advisor of J.D. Vance, some like cool, edgy MAGA kid who got that comedian the gig. And so it's like bad choices just all the way down, getting them what they richly deserve.
Robert Baril, the comedian, was on my show, and he just said, it's lazy comedy. I mean, it was lazy comedy. And if you got a guy like that, it's never going to go well. Cliff, going back to something you said, I thought it was interesting because, of course, you're in Ohio, and it would. I think it is the Vance thing. That must be it. I mean, the local Republican Party must have circled the wagons there, and kind of trying to protect Vance, but they're not doing that anywhere else. I mean, they clearly had no strategy in Texas, in Florida, in North Carolina, in Iowa, Kansas, that they never put any thought on how we were going to save these states if they start going south on us. And,
especially if there was no big Senate race there, I would say it could have been Vance, but it could have also been Sherrod Brown. There's no big Senate race in Kansas, for example, just the same way there is in Iowa. And so if there wasn't some other big race that they were polling, again, Donald Trump run the campaign the way he's run his businesses and his marriages, which is to say, he's an absentee landlord. Well, that's when he's not busy discriminating against people of color. But otherwise, he's an absentee landlord. He doesn't know he doesn't pay attention. He doesn't care. He can't pay attention to anything for more than 3 seconds. So he hires a team of people that are just sycophants. And I mean, it's malpractice. You would have been looking at all these places. So what I find really interesting now are the states. I just saw one that had us only down by, it had Tester up by 4 in Montana. And it had us down by 12. And again, if you do the math on that, Biden lost Montana by about 20. That would mean we're about 8 points closer in Montana. Well, when you start doing that math everywhere else, we only lost South Carolina by 11 points. Okay. We lost Missouri, I think, by about 14, 15. I mean, you start getting to a point where a lot of places become swing states and they don't even know because they haven't bothered to poll. Alaska, we only lost by 10. Like they haven't polled these places.